Slinky Dog Dash is one of the 2 roller coasters at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Located in the Toy Story section of the park, this Mack Rides multi-launch family coaster is 50 feet tall and reaches a top speed of 40 miles per hour. I was able to experience this ride in August of 2021, so yes, that does mean I'm a little bit behind on videos, but let's get into the layout. So after waiting in line for an hour, you get into the train and take your seats. The train exits the station and takes a right turn into the first launch of the ride. Now these are Mack launches and they're not the most forceful launches ever. However, you can still feel it a little bit, but it's a family ride, so don't go in expecting a super intense launch. So after you exit the launch, you turn right for a brief moment before turning left into the first big drop of the ride, which also happens to be the first thing you see once you enter the Toy Story section of the park. It's not a very fast drop, not really a very exciting drop either, but it is where you pick up speed before you go into the first small hill, which gives 0 airtime. And take notice, as that is a trend you'll notice throughout this entire ride. There is no airtime. It is still kind of fun though, and it's the perfect transition element before you enter the first helix. This is one part of the ride where I do remember feeling some forces. Again, not the most forceful helix ever, but you can definitely feel it. I'll say it does carry a little bit more speed than you'd generally expect from a Disney coaster, but that definitely still isn't saying much. And after you leave the helix, well, there's something else you don't really expect from a Disney ride. A double down. Well, it has no airtime, but it's still a double down, and it's fun. And double downs are some of my favorite roller coaster elements out there. Once you're out of the double down, the ride makes a quick bank turn to the left, goes over a little hill, and then takes a right turn into our second launch. This launch happens to also be one of the themed elements of the ride, and by theming, I am not including the sound effects that play throughout the ride. What happens here is more of an interactive theming element. So the train comes to a stop, and then this happens.
Here we go.
The hang on, here we go, combined with the sounds and the lights are perfect to set the mood for the second half of the ride. After hitting what I believe is the top speed of the ride on this launch, you go over the hill, which also makes the 50-foot mark, and then you go into a left turn, which goes into a bunch of small hills with absolutely 0 airtime. This part of the ride confuses me. I don't exactly know why it's there. It doesn't really make sense to have a bunch of small hills like this that don't really do anything. It kind of looks okay, but I don't think it really fits in with this ride. But it is these hills that lead into that turn that makes this ride look like a wannabe I-305. Trust me guys, you do feel some forces here, but it looks a lot better than it feels. So don't go in expecting this to be the most forceful turn ever. And the rapid right turn following that, making it look even more like a wannabe I-305, just leads into the brakes. And yes, you did just see a penguin singing "You've Got a Friend in Me." Now, before we go into my thoughts on the ride, I would like to thank Canopy Coaster for providing all the on-ride footage used in this video. And I would also like to say, please do not hold your phone out on the ride like the person in front of him in the video. That will get you kicked out of the park. But anyway, time to go more into my thoughts on the ride. Just like any Disney ride, I think the best part of this ride is the theme. Slinky Dog Dash is basically Andy's toy roller coaster. You can see in the queue, there are some pieces of track, and the roof of the station is basically the box that the coaster came in. The Dash and Dodge Mega Coaster. Throughout the ride, in most of the Toy Story section of the park, there are giant-sized toys, making you feel like you are one of Andy's toys, and it really puts you down to that small size. So is Slinky Dog Dash the best ride ever? No, definitely not. It doesn't really have airtime, it doesn't really have any forces. However, I think it's perfect for what it is. It's a family ride targeted at younger children, and it is great for the Toy Story area of Hollywood Studios. So if you were able to afford those rising Disney ticket prices and get into Disney's Hollywood Studios, I definitely recommend a ride. And that is it for the video. If you would like to know more about Hollywood Studios and the other rides at the park, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. I will be back next week with a review on Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, see them lights, but you know I got this trap. From ride I push the